What's going on, chess fans? It's Rafi Chowdhury, and in today's video, I'm going to be playing a 15-minute game against an opponent. The game started with me playing c4, knight f6 from my opponent, g3, knight c6, bishop g2, waiting for my opponent El Pistolero WW from Mexico to make his next move. Fairly strong player. Looks like he's very good at the correspondence chess and fairly strong as well in his regular chess. It seems like so. Yeah, definitely should be a fun and exciting game. I'm gonna go ahead and play knight f3. If he does push to e4, I have knight g5 hitting the pawn twice, and it would be kind of tricky for him to defend. He may have to play something like queen c7. I could play knight c3, attack the pawn a third time, play queen c2, attack it again, and it becomes really hard to defend this pawn should black push the pawn further. Now here I do have a nice strategy of taking here, knight takes, and then playing here. Knight takes c4, taking here, and that usually gives black a pretty solid, or white a pretty solid advantage. After knight takes e5, plays bishop takes f2, I take. He takes my knight back. I can still play d5. He checks me. I can play. Well, that gets kind of complicated. Knight takes, bishop takes, check, king takes. Then knight takes back. He's hitting c4. Yeah, it's probably not the line that I want to play, to be quite honest. I'm gonna go ahead and castle. I think it's just a good idea to just keep it simple and not go into those complications, because when I'm playing the English opening, I don't want complications. I'm going for a simple, easy, positional type of chess where I'm just slowly constricting my opponent to death. Some ideas are to play d3, things like knight c3, rook b1, a3, b4, b5, and just really push on the queen side for some quick development. So yeah. Typically, your pawn chain kind of dictates and tells you which direction to attack. So in this case, obviously, our opponent is pointing this way, so we know our pawn chain is going to probably face this way, so I'm ready to attack on the queen side. Now here I'm going to play this move d3 to go ahead and give some support, and my next move is going to be probably something like knight to g5, hitting this bishop, or knight to e1, but he will likely play d5 in this position. That's probably his best move. But if he does play d5, then he will have wasted 2 tempi to move this d pawn. And in theory, you could make the argument in the opening, why push the pawn on d6 and then to d5 when you could have done it in one move to d5 and not wasted a tempo. So it's definitely a question to ask. Here, I might consider this move knight to g5 now, hitting this bishop. And just asking himself, black, where he wants to put his bishop. He just withdraws the bishop. Oh, that's fine. In this position, I will probably play this move rook to b1. Idea is to play b4 pretty soon here. If he does have to play a move like h6, I'll just bring the knight back, and I will have, made him waste a tempo with this bishop, and then again with h6. Although it does prevent the knight from coming into g5 and pinning the bishop to coming to g5 and pinning the knight, I do believe it also wastes a little bit of tempo as well. So let's go ahead and play a3 first, and then we're going to play this move. Black has yet to castle, so it's kind of risky, but he can castle in one move. So, I'm not going to bank on the fact that I can get him before he moves his king. I don't know if that would necessarily happen. So I'm not going to put too much faith on that. Now, usually I would play knight from here to here to here to push this pawn through, but because the knight is now here, it does make things a little bit trickier. In this case, I might play the move e3 first, and then possibly play queen to c2 next. Rook to d1 coming, and then d4 eventually. I do have to watch out for little tactics like this, which hits my knight. definitely those kind of tactics are going to be in this position, definitely available. Here allows him to trade, and I play here again. He pulls this back, and he has this tempo move again on me. That's something to consider. Let's put the knight on f3 instead, and not do any trades, because we're about to start attacking soon, so I don't want to trade too many pieces now. I need some pieces for my queenside attack here. And in this sequence of trades, if I play here, I mean, I feel like I'm just helping out black a little bit, because he's going to get rid of this knight. His f-pawn is ready to push through, and his queenside attack is going to launch quickly with this knight gone. So, you know, I just don't want to help him out with his plan. You also have to ask like what your opponent's plans are, not just looking at your own plans, but also looking at your opponent's to see what he might be interested in doing as well. So here I know that he wants to play this move e4. So if I play queen c2, he plays e4, I take, he takes, I take, he's losing a piece, so he can't really play that. So queen c2 now is a ideal move to play in this position, because it is stopping him from playing this move e4, which is what he wants to play. My other option would have been knight here, hitting the bishop as well. But my knight on h4 would not be doing a whole lot, so I did not play that move. Could consider hitting the bishop again. He moves back playing e4, the idea of coming into here. But then I allow this d4 square for his knight, which I don't want to do. Let's play this rook over here. At some point I want to play d4. And I want to give some support to this d3 pawn anyway. I don't want to play e4 because I don't want him to allow him to play, you know. Now I'm going to need to give some support to this e4 so he doesn't advance it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this knight here. What that does is gets my knight away from the e4 advance and hitting my knight on f3, and it also opens up my bishop so that now I have even further control of this e4 square. Here I might even consider playing queen a4 followed by b4 to continue my queenside attack. It's definitely a possibility. Knight d5, knight e4 are options as well, have these great squares for his knight, whereas he does not have these good squares for his knights. Notice how the light squares are totally in my control, whereas the dark squares are not exactly in his control. I'm controlling all the dark squares as well. This kind of gives me an advantage. So if I can just get this b4 move in, I would really be able to prove some advantage here. How I should advance in this position is also a question, because I don't want to allow trades to happen here. And I'm just temporarily, you know, he's stopping me from playing this b4, which is my natural advance here. So maybe something like knight a2 followed by b4 is definitely an idea, playable idea here. So he draws his bishop back to the g6 square. For what reason, I'm not exactly sure. But I know that that move probably doesn't do a whole lot for his position overall here, so I don't know why I should be worried about that. If I play knight e2, can he play e4? He plays e4, I just take, he takes, I take, he takes, I take, he takes, I take. Yeah, he's not going to be able to play that. 1, 2, 3 defenders of that square, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers. So let's go ahead and continue with our plan on the queen side here. I do have to be careful about these sacrifices on e3. There could potentially happen at any second, especially with knight g4 piling up on e3 is definitely a possibility. So, you know, we do have to be careful for sure. Maybe I could have considered playing the move h3 to prevent this idea, but I think I've got some other ways of controlling this e3 square if need be. But temporarily my knight is on a really stupid square because it's not really doing anything from here. But I do want to really play b4. Otherwise, I just don't see how I can improve my position much. I guess h3 first in theory would have been better because it would have stopped this whole idea. But because my opponent can't really advance much either in this position, so that would have made some more sense. He can now play d5. I'm not sure. Actually, if he plays d5, I can take, and then I'm hitting the bishop on c5, so that's not good for him. Yeah, he's definitely getting ready to play this position with me here. Let's go ahead and continue our advance here on the queen side. Gonna go ahead and take back with the pawn, not to mess up our pawn structure. Notice if the knight takes, he doesn't have to take back with his knight. He can just draw his knight back, and then we will have messed up our pawn structure quite a bit. If he takes, it would be fine. We can take back with the knight. The pawn structure would be fine, but it doesn't have to take back with the knight after we capture with our knight. So now I'm going to bring the knight back next move to the good square again, and then play h3 and just continue slowly developing and, planning my attack on the queen side, my play on the queen side. I might actually play b5 next, to be honest with you. Just really kick this knight back first and then play knight here. Things like of that nature. He really wants to play this e4 move, I can tell. Now would be a good time to bring our knight back and stop that again. I'm always having this kind of idea now if he were to play knight g4 now, which he just did. So now I can play this, which hits the queen and the bishop, and next move I'm going to pick up the bishop and give him double pawns, and I like that a lot. So let's do that. And it protects e3. So there's no sacrifice idea here anymore. I could see him playing this move now. Or here would be I guess, objectively speaking, he should admit his mistake and just put the queen back on, maybe d8 or d7 instead of trying all this kind of stuff, because this is not so simple either, bringing the queen this kind of way. You're always going to be running into this whole discovered attack from the bishop. Although it does look aggressive, I don't know if it's the safest square. See, that's exactly what he did. How did we know that? How did we know that? Now is a good time to go ahead and chop off one piece. Again, if he takes, I take. He takes a check. I just move over, and I don't see anything he can do. Oh gosh, wait a second. Does bishop takes d3 in that position work though? Ooh, wow. Let's see, he still has this knight here though. This is getting kind of complicated. I guess this would be the best way to go about it. Now he can take here, I guess. It's complicated now because he can take here too. Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on anymore in this position. It's getting very, very complex. That was definitely a good sacrifice, and I would admit I did not calculate this too much because I am rather unsure about what exactly is happening in this position right now. If he just takes this knight back now with a queen, he's just down a pawn, to be quite honest, without any kind of compensation. So I doubt he'll do that. I think he'll go for this. But then I have this. He takes, I take, he takes, I take. And who knows what that leads into. So I have +3 right now. If I attack his queen, I mean, he could just move his queen away somewhere, maybe like back to here or something. Or even here. Then I have this. Oh, this is complicated for sure. Here, he takes my queen, I take his queen, he takes this one. And I take back. I feel like that's probably the best way to go. Because I'm up 3 points right now. So we'd essentially be trading queens, and then we'd be trading the exchange, so I'm still up a pawn at that end of that sequence. Could also move my queen away, that's another option. In fact, I could probably play this. Queen c3, because he can't take my rook, I would take his queen. Wow, queen c3 maybe saves me, because then he has to take the knight back and I take his bishop. Oh man, this actually wins a piece. Glad I found this. Gave it a little bit of time and immediately found a solid win here. In fact, this works. Unfortunately for him, he cannot. What did he just take? Oh, okay, he just took that. Okay. But now I feel like I've got some discoveries that will definitely cause him some nightmares. For example, knight here. I'm hitting the bishop on d3, and I'm hitting a lot of stuff here with that move. Queen is being hit. Perhaps knight here, in fact, traps the queen. Which knight move is the best? That's the question here. I feel like knight f1 has got to be the way to go, because I mean I'm just winning winning a piece for nothing. I mean his queen is being hit from every direction right now. It's got to be definitely losing for him. Everything is under attack right now for him. Right now, all of my pieces are protected except for the rook on d1, and the rook on b1, which I'm about to protect. But his pieces are all hanging. Bishop on d3 in particular is about to fall. And there's not a whole lot he can do to prevent this from happening. He cannot really save anything. He has to move his queen somewhere now. He has to play basically this, after which I would just trade and then just pick up this bishop for free. He pretty much doesn't even have any options but to play that. I guess he can play queen f2 also. He even has this move, I just realized. But in any case, I'm winning the bishop. Doesn't matter where he moves his queen, bishop's gone. Yep, solid player. Just curious about his stats. Lives in Vancouver, Canada, and Mexico. Wow, interesting. Global player. Awesome. Well, let us continue and not get distracted or anything of that type. So yeah, just continuing to play solid chess and just finishing strong the rest of the game here. And yeah, I've had a lot of success with the English opening. And I've been playing it for several years now, and it's a very solid opening, very sound. I just love it. Love playing the English. Very sound opening. So I'm thinking now just taking with the queen is probably what I'm gonna do. I don't see a good reason to take in any other way besides with the queen. Everything is protected. He's not attacking anything. I'm just up a piece. So yeah, should be hopefully winning for us. I have more threats now. Bishop e3 being one, namely one. Hitting the queen, developing a piece. Maybe b5 is coming soon also, although he has this knight d4 square for his knight. But after bishop b3, he won't have that square anymore either. So that's probably going to be my next move here, bishop b3. also curious to see if there's anything I can do to try to maybe trap this queen, perhaps. I don't know if there is, but you know, definitely worth a try. Yeah, I think this is the most logical move here that I can play. Just really asking the queen where she wants to go and trying our best to go ahead and trap her in as much as possible. So if I play b5 here, he plays this, I take, he takes, I can take this one, but I am opening up the file for his rook. I have a better move actually. Why not just take this and attack his rook? Yep, let's do that. Okay, well now might be a good time to maybe consider b5. But I'm looking to see if I have anything better than that, in fact. Because after b5, if he does choose to go to d4, I mean, he's really going to have a lot of problems. So yeah, let's go ahead and play b5 now. Now is a good time to play it. I want him to come here so I can chop, 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 and then have a completely winning endgame. He's got a couple pawns, basically, for our compensation. We do have the 2 pieces, so that's definitely a good thing. You know, as long as I don't let him create any counterplay, perhaps with this pawn or something like that, I should be good to go in this game. Hopefully, won't be too difficult of a win. All I need to do now is just put my piece in good squares, really take over these light squares, and it should be a good win as long as I have a good grip of these light squares. I'm tempted to just take the knight, but you know what? In fact, I will do that because I have such a good grip of the light squares. The knight, just because it's starting to come and hop into e6 and then to d4 again. Just don't want any of that today. No, thank you. Now is a good time to go ahead and get our knight to the ideal square, which is d5. And we're also eyeing f5, so I might even play queen f5 here. Next move. Also, d6 is super weak now, so yeah, we've got a lot of weak spots here. I think queen f5 makes the most sense. Just trading off the queens and just saying, hey, this is a completely won endgame, so thank you and see you next game. When you're up, you know, material, typically you want to go ahead and simplify the game as much as possible, because you know it just keeps things simple. You want to not simplify, but keep things simple is the way I would phrase that. Just keeping things simple and not allowing any sort of counterplay to happen is ideally, you know, the way that you want to go about playing an endgame where you're just up material, which is what the case is right now. I don't want to allow him any counterplay. I don't want to take any chances. I don't want to try to force a trade to happen if it doesn't naturally happen. That's kind of when people start going wrong and start really making some of those, you know, crucial mistakes. So here I'm just going to pile up on this f5. I'm happily encouraging him to play f4 if he so chooses. So he goes about it in this way. And now I want to see if I can maybe focus on trading queens again. Knight will take back if he does opt into that trade. I think he will play maybe like queen h6 or queen g6 or h5. Honestly, I don't think he will trade. But then comes knight f4. I'm hitting the queen again. There's always this idea of knight f6 at some point in the future as well. So these are definitely things to consider. Here I might play a very quiet move. You guys might be surprised when you see this move, but in this kind of case, you know, there's no need to complicate, no need to try to force a win or anything like that. Let's just go ahead and pile up on this f5 quietly, smoothly. Just slowly just crunch this position down, grinding it down instead of going for quick wins or something like that. We can just improve all of our pieces, you know, hit this f5 pawn, eventually win the f5 pawn, and then go for a checkmating attack. We also have this kind of tactics in the air at all times because of the really, you know, good, well-placed knights that we have here, the knight that we have here. So yeah. So now there's always this whole idea of sacrificing here. He takes and then playing check. Definitely an idea. So after we double up this rook, that will actually become a real threat probably. So I think he's going to want to play rook f8 next move. Or else I am threatening to take here. And if he takes, then I have check, picking up the queen. Okay, so he stops that threat by moving his king, which is a smart way of doing that. So yeah, now our last piece can come into the game also. In fact, we can actually take here probably now. Because if he takes back, then we can take the rook. So yeah, let's go ahead and bring our last piece into the attack in this fashion. With the sacrifice, instead of going to h3 and attacking, let's just take a pawn attack. Same thing. Ooh. Definitely will say I did not totally calculate that move. For sure, I did not calculate that. So if I take here, he takes, I take again, he takes, I take, he takes, I take, I'm up a knight. So I know that's got to be good for me. So let's go ahead and bring this to a close. Via methods of simplification. Now I could take with the bishop too here. It's also a way of doing it. In fact, I might do that. If he takes, I'm just simply gonna take back with the rook and let him take my. In fact, actually, if he takes my bishop, I can take here with check, then pick up his bishop. Look at that. Tactics always favor. They're slave to strategy. Tactics are good, strategies will always work. If tactics are bad, it's hard to make if strategy is bad, it's hard to make tactics work oftentimes. Here we have good tactics and we're gonna go for it. Wonder if there's some tricky ways, things I can do here, maybe like bishop g6. But it doesn't work. I was thinking bishop g6, if he tries to take the queen, then we have rook f8 checkmate. But he doesn't have to take the queen though. He can take the bishop. Yep, I was hoping for some sort of a fancy, flashy checkmate here, but I don't see one. Yep, don't see one at all. What to do here? What's the cleanest finish here? Do I need a clean finish even? Can I just simply keep playing good chess and just keep putting my pieces on good squares? Sure, why not? Just threatening this check, fork. I mean, this skewer. He'll flag, yep, he flagged. So yeah, this game was very interesting and very, very fun, I think. Good game overall. Let's quickly look at it and see how we could have possibly played better, especially when we had that tactic when he took on e3. I definitely think that I was definitely worse at some point in that sequence. We were lucky to find this queen d3, but I have a feeling that there might have been something that I missed because I didn't calculate all those complications at all, I'll be honest. I just thought that, oh no, surely he can't sacrifice on e3 and just kind of went for it, thinking that I'm going to pick up his bishop. But hey, he showed us definitely that, hey, it's possible to sacrifice maybe, and he went for it. I don't know if he calculated necessarily either, but he definitely went for the tactics there. So, after c4, we started the English opening. My opponent played knight f6, developing a knight and controlling the light squares. Played g3, getting ready to fianchetto this bishop here on the long diagonal. Plays knight to c6, developing the other knight, controlling some dark squares as well. Bishop g2 puts the bishop on a fianchettoed position, taking over this, light square. And my whole opening, as you can see, is a light square control strategy. With every move, I'm going to be controlling these light squares here. So he plays e5, continuing to control the dark squares, which is kind of what he's doing. He's playing a dark square control strategy. Knight f3. It's the first move that does not control the light squares, but it does hit some of the dark squares and take those away from his opponent, and kind of tempts black to play the pawn to e4. Notice I was saying during the game this would not be good for black. It's very hard to defend this pawn. Now he has to do stuff like this, and I just can't imagine how this is a good scenario for him. I could play all sorts of things like d3 is probably winning this pawn right away. But even knight c3 is a very strong move here that just... Oh, sorry, just kidding. Knight c3 is not a strong move. We would lose this piece. So yeah, d3 is the move. In any case, he didn't play that. He played a more solid move, not bishop to c5. went ahead and castled. I was considering this whole sacrifice. I don't think it works, honestly, not in hindsight. I look at it. Yeah, it definitely doesn't work. Because, oh yeah, it's really bad. I'm glad I didn't do that during the game. Because if I took this, I was worried also he could just do this. This is also probably pretty good for him. Then take this, and he's threatening these checks here, starting, to take this, and it's just not good. But according to the computer, actually, I'm completely lost after that move because of this. He can save it with check. I didn't even think about that. He saves the bishop with check, so I can't win the piece back. It's called the classical fork trick. And yeah, it's not... in fact, this happened in a grandmaster game. Wow. Where the international master, 2490 rated, maybe grandmaster, played and fell for this. Incredible. How many game moves did this game last, I wonder, if he just resigned after that. Wow, this is crazy. This is two grandmasters playing this position. White is totally lost. He's just going for the quick kill and soon probably resigned, I'm sure. Yep, totally lost position here. Wow, you got a kind of interesting position out of this. That's crazy. It's not doing that bad here anymore. Easy. You got a couple of pawns for this, so, I actually ended up, wow, just totally coming back from that piece loss. That's crazy. Oh, that queen e7. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. He's down material. He should not be trading pieces not like that. Oh yeah, this is bad now for white. Definitely bad. I know we're getting sidetracked, but I'm just curious what happened in this game. How did that happen? Where someone just lost a piece straight up and then came back. Crazy. Crazier things have happened in chess. So now black is totally winning, I feel like. Yep. Okay, so there's no need to see this game anymore. It's totally won. But to think that white was able to come back from that is insane. Totally crazy. In any case, this is how our game went. Knight c3 here, bishop to e6 here. Yeah, maybe knight g5 was an inaccuracy. I'm not sure. I didn't play that. I played b3 actually first. Now I played knight g5. Yeah, I thought during the game maybe that might have been an inaccuracy because, I mean, he moves the bishop away and my knight on g5 isn't really doing a whole lot. So I should just continue with my regular plan of playing maybe this and try to prevent d5 from happening. But in any case, after this move, knight to g5, he put his bishop back on d7. Yeah, I was considering, playing one of my knights to e4, but decided to continue my queenside plan. a3, a5. Now it's kind of running out of ideas because normally I would usually play this move knight e1 to c2 to try to push this b4, but here obviously my knight on g5 is looking kind of silly. So I instead played e3 to try to take away some dark squares from him, but a more principled move might have actually been, bishop d2, developing a piece and trying to connect the rooks. But I wanted to first do that so I can play my queen on c2, h6, knight g4. I was thinking that during the game, but I ended up choosing knight f3. Bishop f5, queen c2 is what I played. Castles finally. Rook to d1 brings the rook into a more active square, gives some support to d3, and rook e8. Continues to threaten to push e4. Now I drop my knight back to d2. Bishop went to g6. Now I wanted to go ahead and push through with b4, so I played knight a2, but objectively speaking, I'm not sure if this is the best way of going about it because it does put my knight on a really awkward square and kind of puts my knight out of the game. And my knight was controlling some very crucial squares that was keeping these pawn breaks from happening. So I don't know if this was the best move. In any case, b4 happened. I took queen e7, brought my knight back to good square. Knight g5. This is where things get very tricky. So knight d5. I was thinking he could play queen d7 or queen d8, but he ended up choosing this move, queen to g5. And now I feel like we are the ones that made the mistake with this knight b6. No, maybe not. I don't know. I surely did not calculate all of this, by the way. I just kind of went with gut intuition, and turns out I was right. Knight takes b6 is definitely possible. So I went for that, and in any case, he went for this. Took with check. King h1. Apparently, I'm playing all the best moves here. Then bishop takes d3 is a blunder, apparently. Wow. Because of the move that I played. So yeah, our calculations were correct. Queen c3 now. Basically wins the piece. Because he's down a piece right now, so he's trying to get his piece back, but now he's about to get it and then lose another piece. He took there, and yep, we played all the best moves and throughout this whole sequence, so I'm really happy that I was able to find all these moves accurately. Knight f1 is best. He plays this. Queen takes d3. So starting from this whole idea of knight d5, we played the absolute best moves from here. First choice. I'm very happy that I found all of it. Although, again, I will be honest, I didn't calculate all of it. But again, that's why intuition kind of sometimes can intuitively, if you play good strategic moves and put your pieces on good squares, you know, and have good squares for your pieces in general, a lot of times tactics will tend to favor you. Not saying that should be an excuse to be lazy and not calculate, but as you can see, the tactics definitely favored us here, even though I did not calculate any of this. I ended up playing the best moves even without calculating too much. So yeah, now bishop to e3 is suggested. Played that, and yeah, took this pawn on p6. And then yeah, bishop to h3 is being suggested to really challenge those rooks. I definitely didn't see that during the game. I was more focused on this knight, the knight back, pushing the knight back, and then simplifying the position from here. Computer is going to suggest all sorts of ideas to simplify and win, you know, quicker, but I think the move that I played is probably the human best move. Just simply keeping the position very simple and just sort of dominating these light squares, which is kind of what I did. Starting with my knight move. And then my knight got to Knight got to a better square now. And again, you see the advantage is still the same. If I hadn't traded the knights and played that, again, it would have been similar, something similar, very similar. As you can see, bishop takes d8 is not even suggested, but look at all the other moves. They gave a similar advantage here, you know? So that tells you that that move definitely wins here. When you're up +8, doesn't matter if you're up +8 or +9, it's pretty winning. So just don't allow any counterplay to happen here, which is what I did. Didn't allow any sort of tricks or tactics with the knight. Took it off. Continued developing the pieces to great squares, dominating dark squares or light squares, depending on which one he challenges me on. Piling up on f5. Just, yeah, winning with this little tactic here. And then followed by this tactic of rook takes. Now just a simple move, queen to d3, just spinning, threatening the skewer, and basically, yeah, winning this game. So thanks again, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I know I sure did enjoy this video, this game. It was very instructive for me personally. We learned a lot from this game, just how to, slowly squeeze your opponent to death. Hopefully you guys got something out of it as well. It turns out that I made one blunder in the game, which was, what was it? Oh no, I made 0 blunders, 1 inaccuracy only. Wow, this was a good game, honestly. Knight g5 was the only inaccuracy that we made the whole game. I'm actually surprised. I don't usually play this well, this accurately, but this was apparently a very accurate game considering it was 40 moves long and all my moves are, my average centi-pawn loss was so low, 16. Means that basically most of my moves matched with the best moves the engine suggested, to put it simply. That's what centi-pawn is. Basically, every time you make a move that subtracts from what the advantage could be, it basically adds or subtracts. It keeps it keeps adding points the more inaccuracies you have. So the lower this number, the better. The more accurate your moves were, according to the engine, the more it matched the engine's moves, basically. So yeah, overall, very good game. Very good game. I'm happy about this game. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next video. This is Rafi Chowdhury signing out here on a Friday afternoon.